Team Captain Talk Show with the Team Captain and the Oracle. They're still on duty. That legendary duel on CTI 22.
Dr. Betty Martini, the founder, as I mentioned, of the Global Volunteer Force, Mission Possible International, educating the public on aspartame and warnings of the dangers of this. She's been doing this for 14 years with operations now in most states and more than 30 countries plus of the world. She works with the world experts who write the reports that you will find on her web pages, which are linked up now at coasttocoastam.com. She spent 22 years in the medical field before this and created the first health delivery system in the U.S. I'm going to talk with her for a moment about this situation. Hey, Betty, how are you?
Oh, just fine. So happy to be on your show again.
My pleasure, and I'm glad you're here. Tell me a little bit about Hawaii, first of all. What got the state of Hawaii to even think about moving to ban this substance?
Well, actually, there's a man in Kiwana by the name of Jade Brugel that has been talking to the legislature for some time about it, and there is a Dr. James Bowen who lives there who has Lou Gehrig's disease from it. And, of course, our information is literally around the world. They keep getting the information. So I was just delighted. They heard a lot about New Mexico, and, you know, about a year ago we tried to get it banned there, and they had lobbyists saturated like maggots all over the Capitol. And so their bill is very similar to the one in New Mexico. And so this year they just decided to do it because there were so many people reporting so many problems that they were having, the symptoms, you know, the MS, the lupus, people going blind, all the birth defects, what it's doing to children. And they realized also with the new Ramazzini study, or actually there are two now, showing it to be a multi-potential carcinogen, which goes along with the studies the FDA had from the very beginning, and that it was carcinogenic and neurotoxic. They decided to put the bill out this year, and I'm just delighted because they've got a very good chance of getting this through. There's a lot of support behind it.
Betty, would you say that using sugar would be a better thing than using aspartame? At least it's the better of the two evils?
Well, aspartame is a chemical poison, so absolutely anything, even sugar, would be better than that. But it's not that they don't have anything. For instance, there's one called Just Like Sugar, that just chicory and orange peel, and chicory's been used for 70 years to aid diabetics, where aspartame can actually precipitate diabetes and interacts with insulin. So there is something safe out there for people to use. They don't have to use something that's poisonous, but the problem is that they advertise this, for instance, as something that's diet, when in fact it makes you crave carbohydrates and gain weight. It's addicting the kids. It liberates free methyl alcohol, which causes chronic methanol poisoning. This affects the dopamine system of the brain and causes the addiction. This is one of the big problems in New Mexico. There I was addressing the Senate, and most of the senators were sipping Diet Coke. And so once they get hooked, it's like saying, listen, this cocaine's not good for you. And they want to hang on to it. And the behavioral problems, the psychiatric problems, the doctors say that, you know, a lot of the people in mental hospitals today are simply aspartame victims, because what happens is it depletes serotonin from the brain, and it causes bipolar, suicidal tendencies, just panic attacks. For instance, Time magazine had a front-page article a few years ago, 1 million small children with bipolar, when bipolar is, in fact, an adult disease. So they don't see they don't even think about what in the world is causing all of this, and they put them on all these psychiatric drugs, which interact with every one of them. So, and that's in Dr. Roberts' medical text, Aspartame Disease, an Ignored Epidemic.
How many toxicologists, Betty, have asked the FDA to ban this stuff?
There are 12 toxicologists that have asked them. basically because of the Ramazzini study, they haven't done a thing. And, there are certain laws. For instance, if you file a citizen's petition, the FDA has 180 days to answer. I want you to know I filed one 6 years ago, and they had the arrogance to write me when they didn't answer it and say, we have things of more priority to do. And then in October, I filed one on an imminent health hazard, which gives them about 10 days, and they completely ignore it. So they serve above the law, and they know the reason they can't answer it is, for instance, in the last 24 months, there's over 14 new studies showing aspartame toxicity. I mean, how bad can it get when a study like the Traco study shows that the formaldehyde embalms living tissue and damages DNA? I actually flew to Barcelona and talked to the researcher, and he said, Betty, this is going to kill 200 million people. I said, no, doctor, it's already killed 200 million people. That is the problem. And I recently came back from New Zealand where an actress by the name of Abby Cormack almost died from Wrigley's aspartame gum. They thought they were just about to diagnose her with bipolar.
Oh, my God.
She got on the website. She was rolling on the floor. The medics had to come after her. They thought she had MS. A few days after finding out, seeing all her symptoms, she was on doorway. And when she saw the symptoms, she got off. And about a week later, I guess it was, she was just fine. And Soil and Health and the Safe Food Campaign in New Zealand brought me over, and I lectured with Abby and also with Sue Kedger from Parliament. And because we were on TV and there was so much publicity, people would come up on the street and say, I had the same symptoms. I saw Abby on TV. I got off and I got well. They now have a petition to ban in New Zealand.
And they get well. They get well quickly too, Betty, don't they? If they stay off this stuff.
But some of the stories are so horrible. One woman had lost 7 babies on aspartame. Her husband tried to kill her, and then hung himself. I mean, some of the tragic stories because of the, this.
Well, why don't they move this stuff out of foods and drinks and bring in some of these natural things that you just mentioned?
Well, first of all, one of the things that I think the reason is, first of all, the FDA actually told the truth in an article in the New York Times when they asked the FDA why they didn't ban it, and they were talking about the economics to the manufacturer. In other words, the manufacturer is going to lose money.
Well, isn't the manufacturer? The manufacturer is a Japanese company, isn't it?
Oh,
the biggest one?
Ajinomoto, absolutely.
Well, what is our FDA concerned about the financial fortunes of a Japanese company?
Well, then they got Marathon, which is a bunch of Monsanto managers. They sold part of it even to Michael Dell, and there's another company up in Massachusetts that owns part of it. But Ajinomoto is also here in America. Their lobbyists were in New Mexico.
How would the manufacturers defend this? What would they say?
They can't defend it. See, that's the problem. Everything is a matter of public record. Anything I could tell you, I could give you a government record. It's one of the reasons why the FDA won't answer my petition, because it's based on the fact that their government records show that it's a poison and that they're lying to the public and that they themselves revoked the petition for approval. And the story of how aspartame got on the market is one of the most incredible in history, that Don Rumsfeld said he'd call under his markers and get it approved. And in the movie Sweet Misery, A Poison World, James Turner is explaining what happened, that he was on Reagan's transition team, and the day after Reagan took office, he appointed someone to approve aspartame and be the FDA commissioner. And incidentally, I recently spoke to the wife of the FDA commissioner that was there at the time, Goyen, and she said she was there and sent me an affidavit where the Reagan transition team called her at 3 in the morning and told him he had to resign. And then they knew it would take 30 days to get Arthur Hayes to the FDA to overrule that board of inquiry. So what they did is they wrote an executive order making the FDA powerless to do anything about it until they got Hayes there. And now
Donald Rumsfeld seems to haunt us all over the place, doesn't he?
Yes, and they've stricken the executive order from the records, and I sent a FOIA request for that, and 20% of the FDA audit that the Bressler report that Jerome Bressler told me that they deleted, well, a couple of months ago it was confidential, and when I sent them a record showing it couldn't be confidential, it was a public record, they said they destroyed it.
Now, this exactly is what? What was it original intent for? I mean, was it made as a sweetener, or was it an additive for something? What was it?
Well, according to articles, it was originally listed with the Pentagon in an inventory of prospective biochemical warfare weapons submitted to Congress.
What?
And that's in the prestigious Ecologist, which we have on my website, which is www.mpwhi.com, Mission Possible World Health International, and you'll find it on WNHO.net. And also Nutripoison, which gives the whole history, says that. But according to Searle, they were making an ulcer drug, and they licked their finger. But the thing of it is that the law states that an additive must be inert, or it can't cause any biologic problem. Well,
right.
The FDA list of symptoms that they have accepted are 92, including death. I guess that's the ultimate symptom.
God.
You know, the medical text is as big as the New York phone directory, Dr. Roberts, and then there are other symptoms. And Dr. Blaylock has written excitotoxins, the taste that kills, of all these neurodegenerative diseases. In some of these recent studies in Greece, it shows that it causes Alzheimer's, and memory loss is so prevalent, it's like number 9.
It's frightening, Betty.
List.
This is absolutely frightening. It sounds like you're telling me a horror movie.
Yeah, the thing of it is that it's true. Everything is in the records, and I've been taking the case histories for 16 years, and we have an aspartame information list on mpwhi.com. These cases come in day and night. The brain tumors, it breaks down to a brain tumor.
How would you like to debate some of these company manufacturers and those corporations that use this, if I can get some kind of group panel together? Would you?
Yes, but they
won't come on.
I'll tell you something, they simply won't. In fact, I was interviewed by Atlanta Magazine, believe it or not, right here in the home of Coca-Cola. And in the article, this was in August, they went to Coca-Cola and they said, well, don't you want to answer, Betty Martini? And the answer from Coca-Cola was, no, we'll let scientific peer-reviewed research answer her. And this came out when I was in New Zealand, so I held up Dr. Walton's research for 60 minutes, showing that 92% of all independent scientific peer-reviewed research shows the problem.
Unbelievable.
And Coke has now been answered.
All right, Betty, we're out of time on this short burst here, wanting you to react to this situation in Hawaii, and I want to thank you for coming on the program.
Oh, I'm just delighted.
All right, thanks. That's Dr. Betty Martini. It's an incredible story. Look, here's the bottom line, and here's my recommendation to you, because I want all of you to live a very, very long life. Read the labels of just about everything you buy, and if there's a chemical in there that you feel very uncomfortable with, just don't buy it. I can't stand, that chemical. What is that thing? It is MSG. Yeah, I just can't. I can't have it. I can't have it. I'll be back in a moment.
Is there anybody out there who denies that the team captain is an absolute genius? He's talking about something this time in his iReport CNN doc. It's doc-420864 that a lot of people are actually consuming, and it's killing them. That's right. This is a weapon of mass destruction set to kill at least 2 million people. Is death an acceptable side effect for what we pay for? Is it? Is it really? What's wrong with this picture? What am I talking about? Aspartame. Aspartame, it's not worth the low calories. People on diets use aspartame all the time. Even people who go to McDonald's, they try to make up for the fact that they're having a large cheeseburger by ordering a Diet Coke. These things have aspartame in it. It's not worth the 0-calorie effect. Aspartame has been proven to give cancer to rats when tested, but none of that mattered because they still put it on the market anyway. I've read case studies of people who end up paralyzed because of aspartame, other side effects, lupus, MS, making you bipolar, weight gain, birth defects, sending people to the hospital because of aspartame overdose. It affects your mind, divorces because your husband can't stand how crazy you are by drinking all these 0-calorie things and the aspartame getting in your brain. It's not worth it, people. This is a weapon of mass destruction that is in our food, and Team Captain has pointed it out. Do your own research. Listen to his CNN doc. Check it out. As always, he's a genius. He knows exactly the right thing to say, and he's right on the money this time. Hey everyone, Team Captain has a new CNN iReport doc out there. It's iReport.cnn.com/doc/doc-420-864. And he talks about some really interesting stuff. First of all, why bipolar policemen should not have guns. It's a really interesting topic out there, and it's definitely a topic that should be discussed. Team Captain, as always, knows what he's talking about, and it's true. If you have some sort of mental condition where you can't control your feelings, you can't control your anger, then how can we protect the citizens? How can we expect to be protected if somebody has a mental condition and can't control it and has a weapon out there? We definitely shouldn't just go on the whim and die. That's not cool. Team Captain brings up some really interesting points, and why we should not go broke. Being broke means that we don't have the ability to support ourselves, to support our children. As a woman, that's really important. If something happens, if we're not the provider and something happens to the provider, very important. We should not have to worry about this in the future. I know that I always want my children taken care of. I always want to know there's financial security. Very important. If I'm a woman walking down the street alone, I want to know that if I see a policeman, he's going to protect me. He's not going to be in a manic depressive state and shoot me because he has a mental disability. That's unfortunate, probably shouldn't happen. These are some of the expected side effects of society, supposedly, but we definitely can prevent that. These are two things that we should look out for, two things that we should really think about. As always, Team Captain raises some awesome, interesting points. So go check out his new iReport, his new CNN doc. Really worth the listen, guys. Coming from a woman's point of view, you ladies out there need to think about it and need to know what you can do to prevent these expected side effects. Check it out.
Mr. Poe of Texas.
Request permission to address the House for 5 minutes.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Congress passed an energy bill which should have been called the Anti-American Non-Energy Bill because it punishes Americans for using energy rather than finding new sources of affordable energy. But the bill does one thing, Madam Speaker. It controls the type of light bulbs that all Americans must use throughout our fruited plains. Congress's energy bill bans incandescent light bulbs by 2014 and requires Americans to buy compact fluorescent bulbs. Those are called CFLs. Now we can say goodbye to Thomas Edison's incandescent bulb and his invention. Madam Speaker, I have a Constitution here, and like most members of Congress, I carry it with me. I've read it through and through, but I don't see anywhere in the U.S. Constitution that it gives the government the power to control the type of light bulbs used in Dime Box, Texas, or any other place in the United States. Besides the lack of constitutional authority, let me discuss these light bulbs further. Nothing in Congress seems to be easy, and that phrase is certainly true with these CFL light bulbs. These light bulbs contain mercury. so they have to be disposed of in a certain way. According to EPA rules, you're supposed to take them to a local recycling center. Thanks to Congress, nothing is easy. If you throw them out at home, you're supposed to seal the bulb in 2 plastic bags and place them in the outside trash. Otherwise, the bulb may break and pollute the landfill, of all things. CFLs are made of glass, so they're fragile. If one breaks it or drops it, you have to follow simple rules, thanks to Congress. And according to the EPA, here's what you do if you break one of these light bulbs. And I quote, "Have people and pets leave the room, and don't let anyone walk through the area. We must evacuate the room, Madam Speaker." I continue. "Open a window and leave the room for 15 minutes or more. Shut off the central heating and air conditioning system. Carefully scoop up glass fragments and powder using stiff paper or cardboard and place them in a glass jar with a metal lid." Obviously, that's readily available. I continue. "Use sticky tape, such as duct tape, to pick up any remaining small glass fragments and powder." Of course, we do have lots of duct tape in Texas, so that's no problem. But we're not through yet. I continue to quote, "Wipe the area clean with a damp paper towel or disposable wet wipes and place them in the glass jar or plastic bag. Do not use a vacuum or a broom." And Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to file this 3-page single-spaced requirements the EPA has made all Americans follow in disposing one of these broken light bulbs.
Okay, without objection.
Thank you. If you break a light bulb in a high-rise where the windows don't open, will the EPA light bulb police haul us off to jail because of improper disposal procedures? If I drop this light bulb, we would have to evacuate the House of Representatives, according to the EPA light bulb law. Have we gone a bit too far with this nonsense? Thanks to Congress, we're making what is simple very difficult. And besides, these light bulbs are expensive, and using them may fade photographs on the wall. Now, Madam Speaker, I'm going to carefully remove one of these light bulbs from a box that contains all these warnings on the outside. And this is one of those CFL light bulbs that Congress is requiring all Americans to use by 2014. There is more to the requirements of using these. It says here, and I quote, "These light bulbs may cause interference to radios, televisions, wireless telephones, and remote controls." Now we're in trouble for Monday Night Football because we're going to have to turn out the lights so there's no interference with our TV. We can also thank Congress for giving more money to China. This light bulb, it says right here, with all the warnings on it, is made in China. And Madam Speaker, they are only made in China. They're not made in the United States. We import every one of these things. You know, over the past year, we've seen Chinese pet food kill our dogs and cats. Chinese lead paint is poisoning our children. And now Chinese light bulbs that contain mercury can be harmful to our health. Doesn't this bother anybody? Meanwhile, gasoline nears $4 a gallon, and Congress still has no energy plan except turn on these light bulbs. Oh, I yearn for the day when America took care of Americans by developing our own abundant natural resources, like coal and natural gas and crude oil, to provide affordable energy to America. But those days have gone the way of Edison's incandescent light bulb. We might as well turn out the lights. The party's over. And that's just the way it is. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back his time.
All right, I'm going to talk to you today about compact fluorescent light bulbs. You see, a woman named Brandy Bridges was installing a compact fluorescent light bulb in her daughter's room. She dropped it. It broke. Knowing that they contain poisonous chemicals, she called the Home Depot, and Home Depot said, well, they contain mercury. You got to call the Poison Control Center. The Poison Control Center said, mercury, no, you got to call the Department of Environmental Protection. And she called the Department of Environmental Protection. They came out, they measured a room, they found that the bedroom contained 6 times the normal level of mercury that was allowed by EPA standards. And she said, oh my God. So they suggested she call hazmat. So she called the EPA, they sent out a hazmat unit, gave her an estimate of $2,400 to properly clean the room. They sealed the room off and left. She had to raise the money to clean the mess up, $2,400. to clean up one light bulb. You can't use a vacuum because the vacuum will spread the mercury throughout your home. So why am I saying this? Well, you have even Congress trying to outlaw the Edison light bulb. I believe it's San Francisco or New York right now. I thought the story was absurd, so I didn't pay much attention to it. But they're trying to outlaw the Edison light bulb, and our Congress is also, and to replace them with the compact fluorescent light bulb. Now, I looked up the compact fluorescent light bulb, and not only are you not supposed to just throw it away, you're supposed to take it back where you bought it so they can recycle it, and Home Depot doesn't do that, Lowe's doesn't do that. So if you can't do that, you take it to a local recycling center. Do not break it. They will break it before they put it in an incinerator. Now, they're pushing for this. The environmental wackos are pushing for this light bulb that if you break will cause a hazard to your home. You could do nothing, vacuum it up, and then, you know, your kids are exposed to it, and 20 years later, your first grandbaby has a toe growing out of his forehead. It's ridiculous that people should be made to use these things. I have one in my kid's bathroom, and I'm pulling it out in light of what I read and heard today. So compact fluorescent light bulbs are pretty much a hazard. And remember, if you have them in your home, don't throw them in the garbage. That's illegal. They have mercury. You have to recycle them. That's the law. But
you know, what I love about Team Captain is he always has such interesting topics to discuss and to make you think. And this one, it's a little bit different, but it's great. Let's talk about the human danger and the cost of CFO lamps in homes in his new iReport, Doc-642-772. So, compact fluorescent lamps are really, really bad news. They are. They're dangerous. There's health dangers of these broken lamps in American homes. What happens if they're not cleaned up and this danger is just allowed to be spread everywhere? To clean one average room with a broken fluorescent lamp is $2,300, roughly. What about the cost to clean up an average home? How about the cost to clean up large department stores, grocery store chains? How much is it? What happens if they don't tell their customers, or if they don't clean up and all these chemicals from the fluorescent bulbs, the light from it, which is not good for you at all, is getting into your skin? How would you like it if you knew the dangers and they just weren't telling you? So you go somewhere you think you're safe and those fluorescent lamps are beating down upon you. Who can afford it? Really? The cleanup? Only the rich people can. So only the rich are entitled to be safe from fluorescent lamps? Is that fair? I don't think so. Check out Team Captain's new Doc-642-772.
I gotta take a little time to think things over. I better read between the lines in case I need it when I'm older.
This mountain I must climb feels like the world upon my shoulder. Through the clouds I see love shine. It keeps me warm as life grows colder.
In my life, there's been heartache and pain. I don't know if I can face it again. Can't stop now. I've traveled so far to change this lonely life. I wanna know what love is. I want you to show me. I wanna feel what love is. I know you can show me. I'm gonna take a little time to look around me.
I've got nowhere left to hide.
Princess J. Nebraska Healing Water. Here is how that works. When a person really understands the water, they will test it, then they will say that's cool. Don't mind giving the $10 to $20 donation, and not grudgingly either. It was well worth it for my own sake. Looking at the twigs gone wild, even gangbangers don't want their children calling them Hey Bob and Betty. We all want better things for our children. The way is clearly the water. Clean water. Being that a lot of smart people don't have jobs, but are thinkers, some will say, if it worked for me then it will work for others. If I can change my home, then I can change my own communities. How to make it/that happen. Go to meetings complaining about city twigs gone wild. Our children. There is always someone handing out stop the violence info. Talk to them and find out who's serious, then ask to speak at their community group meetings. You tell them it will change their children, and if enough people pass it on, it will also stop the violence in communities, city, state, and worldwide. Remember, we only take donations. If it works, they keep their money in their pocket. If it doesn't, but when they understand how it works, they will say, wow, that's cool. They will get the video we call Nebraska Healing Water. How much is the video in dollars? It's donations, remember? Since you did not give your $10 to $20 donation grudgingly, you can expect the same things back. In 20s. Play this song doing donations at your ending. Only 5 people attended first. Come back in 2 weeks to see how they have done, but you already know that, don't you? Of course they will bring their friends. Their friends will get their own disc and do the same thing all over again. Saying, we only take donations if it works. If it doesn't work, keep your money in your pocket. How many are there attending this time? 20 to 30 in your meeting. Now the 20 to 30 repeat the process. Please don't feel bad about the obscene amount of money you will get in/from donations, remembering you are doing a community service that everyone wants. Cost? You most likely have it already. The rice bowl, a marking pen, scotch tape, and of course that/your twigs. If you should happen to get upset for some reason and your twig or twigs come over to you and then look at you for a moment and say, Dad, Mom, you are messing up your water. You just taught them about their water. Now what do you say? Remembering, as you bend the twig, so grows the trees. So, if the twigs now bend the tree/trees, so grows the twigs and the trees. From that learning experience, each house, community, even the city could make their own YouTube video of how we all came together to stop community, city, and statewide violence. Now, if you are reading this, before you clicked on the video above, you may be wondering, does it work, or will it work? Would really be nice if it did. Let me say this, as the team captain, we don't do things that don't work. Question. But, do you? Stop the violence, stop poverty, is it worth your twigs? Did you really do the math? Before we get into a really heavy disclosure information. But then again, if they do freak out, they can always come back to the team captain's Nebraska Healing Water. It's just not for kids/anymore. We take back our children, solve the poverty problem at the same time. It's a win-win situation for all. I am reminded of the plight of those that came before me. 2011 means possibilities and hope. Like the mythical phoenix, we all can rise from the ashes and be reborn. Knowledge is power and power is possibility. Our children are the living messages we send to a time we will not see. So let's all stop the violence, stop poverty. Is it worth your twigs? We now do the math. The team captain and the Nebraska Healing Water.
interested in the molecular structure of water and what affects it. Now, water is the most receptive of the four elements. Mr. Emoto thought perhaps it would respond to non-physical events. So he set up a series of studies, applied mental stimuli, and photographed it with a microscope.
For one sample of water, we drop about 0.5 cc's onto each 50 petri dishes. Then we take those 50 petri dishes and freeze them in a freezer at minus 25 degrees Celsius for about 3 hours. We take those frozen samples into a refrigerator that is set at minus 5 degrees Celsius, where a microscope with a camera is set up. There we take photographs of each of the 50 water drops individually. We first take photographs of water that we did not put any information in. Then we take the water with information and do the same procedure just described. We take those before and after photographs and compare the differences. When we projected the feeling of love and thanks to water, it made the most beautiful crystal. At times like this, I think water is at peace.
This first picture is a picture of water from the Fujiwara Dam. And this picture is the same water after receiving a blessing from a Zen Buddhist monk. Now, in this next series of pictures, Mr. Emoto printed out words, taped them to bottles of distilled water, and left them out overnight. This first photograph is a picture of the pure distilled water, just the essence of itself. These subsequent photographs, as you can see, are each different. This is the chi of love. And we move along here to thank you. And you can see where he taped that to this bottle here. But if you read Japanese, you already knew that. Now, Mr. Emoto speaks of the thought or intent being the driving force in all of this. The science of how that actually affects the molecules is unknown, except to the water molecules, of course. And it's really fascinating when you keep in mind that 90% of our bodies are water.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? If thoughts can do that to water, imagine what our thoughts can do to us.
It has been scientifically proven that thought energy in the form of music, written or spoken word, can turn the microscopic crystals within ordinary water into brilliant, luminescent, complex geometrical works of art. But how can we use this scientific discovery to our own benefit? Here is an amazing and simple way to do this. You can actually see and feel the results rather quickly based on our experience utilizing this technique we've created. Acquire a new, clean water spray bottle. These can usually be found almost anywhere, such as retail stores, department stores, dollar stores, etc. They are very inexpensive. Remove any UPCs or stickers from the water spray bottle. Fill the spray bottle with any reasonably clean water. Place the water bottle, now near full with clean water, somewhere near a sound speaker and play a pleasant, harmonious piece of music, such as perhaps a work by Bach, Chromaticus, or something from Marcus Unlimited, all of which is available from Apple iTunes. Play this music comfortably loud enough to where you can hear the music. If you can hear it fairly well within the same room, then the water is receiving its vibrations also. Seriously, this part, although it sounds like unbelievable magic, is scientifically proven. The water needs to hear this pleasant music. Warning. Even if you have times where you like to rock out or hear angry thumping music, postpone those themes at this point. Play something nice that represents the type of life experience you might like to have. Want to live in a peaceful paradise filled with personal wealth? Play music that represents that, especially things that make a positive connection to nature of some sort. Now that you are feeding the water magnificent music, and you are smiling, with a permanent marker, write anywhere you like on the water spray bottle the most positive and vivid words you can conjure. You can use this example if you like. It has worked a few miracles for us. Love, luck, happiness, healing, health, and wealth. This is just a proven example of possible text. You can use your own positive words and be very specific if you want. Now place the water bottle in the freezer. Let it freeze overnight. This is where the water crystals will do their most intense reformation. They actually accept the change immediately, but by freezing them, they hold the positive shape the longest based on our experiments. After the water is frozen, remove it from the freezer and let it thaw naturally. Now, every time you spray this on yourself, or your plants, pets, etc., you are literally injecting natural, harmonious crystals into your system. Water crystals that are charged with the type of energies you want in your life. Note, this can also be miraculous when sprayed on some skin ailments. It can be used as often as you like. In fact, since there are no negative, unnatural, drug-based side effects, you should use the new water as often as possible. There are many other ways you can take advantage of this scientific reality. Write your positive words on faucet spouts, shower heads, the bottom of ice cube trays, etc. In fact, since we humans are 80% water, you can use a dry erase marker, or a permanent marker if you're bold enough, and write cures directly on the parts of the body where minor ailments have occurred, or where you just want more strength, energy, ability, and so on. Although these specific techniques are, to the best of our knowledge, our own design, you may find additional research on this parent subject by using the following search terms: Dr. Masaru Emoto Water Crystals. Thank you and best wishes. Universal Uomo.
Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more back thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There's so much hatred, war and poverty. Oh, wake up all the teachers, time to teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say. They're the ones who's coming up, and the world is in their hands. When you teach the children, teach them the very best you can. The world won't get no better if we just let it be. Na, 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 na. The world won't get no better. We gotta change it now, just you and me. Wake up all the doctors, make the old people well. They're the ones who suffer and who catch all the hair. But they don't have so very long before their judgment day. So won't you make them happy before they pass away? Wake up all the builders, time to build a new land. I know we could do it if we all lend a hand. The only thing we have to do is put it in our minds. Surely things will work out, they do it every time. The world won't get no better if we just let it be. Na, 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 na. The world won't get no better. We gotta change it now, just you and me. Yeah. Change it, yeah, just you and me. Change it, yeah, change it. Can't do it alone, do it alone. Need some help, y'all. Can't do it alone, yeah, yeah. Wake up, everybody. Wake up, everybody. Need a little help, y'all. Yes, I do. Need a little help. Say it, boy. Need some help, y'all. Change the world, what it used to be. Can't do it alone. Need some help, need some help, Wake up, everybody. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Wake up, come on. Wake up, everybody. Teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in there. No more back to thinking. Time for thinking ahead. Come on now. Wake up, everybody. I'm talking about don't push out. Stop pushing that don't push. Well, don't use up. Stop using the don't. Wake up. Yeah. Well, hey. What you tell me now? Wonder what you tell me now. False fire, false preaching, false teaching. Wake up, y'all. Come on. creed, a color. Everybody, we need each other. Wake up, everybody. Well, see, we need, wake up, everybody. We need, wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more backward thinking. Time for thinking ahead. Wake up, all your teachers. Start to teach a new way. They're the ones that suffer each and every day. Teach the children, teach the babies, teach the babies, teach the children, teach the children, teach the babies, teach the children, teach the babies. They're the one who's coming up.
The Team Captain Talk Show with the Team Captain and the Oracle. They're still on duty. That legendary duel on CTI 22.
The ultimate ignorance is rejecting something you know nothing about. Dedicated to the restoration of full consciousness,